everyone. We are couple 6 of V and Ling from World History class at Hanoi University. Today, making this video to tell you about political regime of key Asian Greek city-state. During early stage of settlement, the geography of Greece led people to settle in the isolated community, which are called city-states. The separation of these settlements caused the city-state to develop their own identity that they were extremely proud of. In addition to pride, this city-state developed their own law, army, money, and most importantly, for this top government. And the government that they drew were called it all out oligarchy. By 800 BCE, most Greek city-states were ruled by a small group of wealthy men called aristocrats or oligarchs. The oligarchs had one characteristic in common. They were wealthy, they spent their days hunting, in their night partying, all the while the poor were working extremely hard and saw little benefits from the most part of the oligarch. Ignore the poor and pass the laws that benefit themselves. So the rich citizens become richer and the poor become poorer. That is to say, the poor did not like the oligarch. The poor turned to strong leader who promised to improve their life. The leader would eventually throw the oligarch out of power, and they would take the power by force and bring earth to our next government called tyranny. This were the power totally taken by force during the mid-600 BCE. Many Greek city-states turned into tyrants who promised to change their government. Generally, the tyrant took power by force. Unlawfully, most tyrants were military leaders who gained support by making promises to people. Many tyrants make change to the government that helped out the people. Sometimes tyrants did not use their power to help the poor, but instead ruled harshly. Eventually, tyrants would be forced out of money, only to give way to a new form of government called a democracy. The people want to rule themselves. By 500 BCE, Athens decided to try to govern themselves. The citizens decided to stay the ruling power. Athens developed an assembly which consisted of only adult male citizens. The definition of citizen is very specific. You must fall under certain categories to be considered as a citizen. These citizens could speak in the assembly, vote on new laws or other proposals. Athens democracy were called a direct democracy because all citizens had a chance to vote. So how different between these police regimes and what is police known for? The Athenians were known for being open and tolerant. They were a wealthy society that attracted all sorts of men to live and work and contribute to Athenian culture. Spartans were much more conservative. Everyone role in society and their wealth was strictly controlled, and conforming to society were mandatory. Athenian citizens were all entitled to have a say in little affairs. Citizens who debate issues constantly express their opinion in the arts, philosophy, and culture, and the town square, the square, and the assembly. The Spartans, by contrast, were laconic in speech, saying little and getting straight to the point. In fact, the word laconic comes from Laconia, the area in which Sparta could be found hallowed and periclite, and sporty. It all had clear roles and were expected to be begged that they could be within the rules, and it wasn't a room for debate. The control way of doing things were stable and effort were expected to be restrained and considered in how they ruled. Democracy too was formed to shift the public opinion. Voting in assembly were regularly swayed by arguments that lead to recognize mistakes, including unaffordable spending and inconsiderate words regardless of their cultural difference. The one thing that both Spartan and Athenian could agree on were that they were more advanced than the Iconians, who had a monarchy and worse, didn't even speak Greek. The Hellenes were quite often prejudiced against non-speech speakers, looking down on them and excluding them from events like Olympic Games. To Holland, non-Greek speakers shouted like they were saying ba ba ba, and they mocked them for this calling out variant according to Maud Helen. Monarchy and tyranny were sometimes to avoid their citizens were basically slaves, and they simply couldn't compete with the more advanced Greek oligarchies and democracies like Sparta. Here is some advantages and disadvantages of two political regimes that we want to list here in the table. And at the end of video, we want to show you some traits that will also exist in political regime in democracy of Vietnam.
Claim to embody it. At the same time, some share Plato's skepticism about the wisdom of crowds. Many modern democracies reconcile this conflict by having citizens elect those they consider qualified to legislate on their behalf. But this poses its own problems, including the influence of wealth and the emergence of professional politicians with different interests than their constituents. Could reviving election by lottery lead to more effective government through a more diverse and representative group of legislators? Or does modern political office, like Athenian military command, require specialized knowledge and skills? You probably shouldn't hold your breath to win a spot in your country's government. But depending on where you live, you may still be selected to participate in a jury.